Imagine having a very powerful and rich boss who gifts you a house that is decorated with gold. Because of how spectacular the house looks, people from all over the world come to see your house. This brought so much attention to you that you became famous in the whole world. Then you began to be proud. Because of how famous you became in the whole world, you became so arrogant that you stopped serving your boss. You refused to take instructions from him and was no longer obedient to him. So because you stopped following the instructions that your boss gave you and you stopped obeying his commands to love people the same way you love yourself, but instead you started treating the other people you work with cruelly, taking from them their properties and even putting some of them to death, your boss became so angry and he made your enemies come and capture you in the house he had built for you, and your enemies took you to a foreign land where they made you a slave. Then your boss brought all your enemies from all over the world to come and live in the house that he had built for you. And when your enemies came, they burnt down the property, the magnificent building that is decorated with gold that your boss had gifted you with. Your enemies burnt them down. This is exactly what happened to the people of Israel. God loved the people of Israel so much because of what their ancestor Abraham did. Abraham believed God that he would be able to have a child even when he was 99 years old. And so God counted it to Abraham as righteousness when he had faith in God that God would do what he had promised. Because of Abraham's faith in God, God promised Abraham that he would give him the land of Canaan and his descendants will occupy this land. And God made his word come true. And God gave Abraham and his descendants the land of Canaan. And God gave them kings, powerful kings like Saul, David, and Solomon. But when the people of Israel became so rich and so famous because of the temple that King Solomon built, which attracted the whole world to the land of Israel, the Bible says that the people of Israel stopped worshiping God. And this is also because King Solomon had married wives who worshipped other idols, and their love of foreign idols brought the curse of God upon themselves. The Bible says that the worship of the idols that King Solomon's wife worshipped caused them to offer human sacrifices. And they also had men who prostituted at the shrines of these idols. There were many other evils that the people of Israel committed. Some of those evils were taking the properties of poor widows and also making life miserable for the poor people who lived in the land. God sent many prophets to the people of Israel to talk to them, for them to change from their evil ways, so that he will have mercy on them and do not send them away from the land of Israel. But the people instead killed some of the prophets that God sent to them. And the Bible says it in 2 Chronicles chapter 28 verse 3 that some of the kings continue to do evil by burning their children as sacrifices to the idols they worshipped. And so God had had enough of the evil that the people committed. And so God's wrath finally came upon them, and he let their enemies come and capture them in the land of Israel and disperse them to the other lands of the whole world. And God made people from other nations come to occupy the land of Israel. But when the Israelites had been in captivity in foreign lands for some time, the Bible says that they humbled themselves. They prayed to God, and God remembered his promise with their ancestor Abraham. And God made the king who ruled over them to have mercy on them. And God allowed the king to release the people of Israel after 70 years of being in captivity to go back and occupy the land of Israel once again. So God touched the king's heart and made the king favor the people of Israel and gave them all the provisions that they needed to return back home to the land of Israel. So because the people of Israel humbled themselves and prayed, and they turned away from their evil ways, God had compassion on them, and he touched the heart of the king to release them. Beloved, the Bible says it in Proverbs chapter 21, verse 1, that the heart of a king or the heart of any man is like water in the palms of God. God turns it whichever direction he wants it. But the only thing that will cause God to turn the hearts of people on your behalf is when you pray. God respects man so much because he has given us authority over this life. God has given us authority over this earth and has said it in Matthew chapter 18 verse 18 that whatever we bind on this earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever we loose on this earth shall be loosed in heaven. And so because God has given us this authority, he cannot act on our behalf without us permitting him to work for us. So, beloved, in order for God to touch people's hearts to favor you, you need to pray. You need to tell God that this is what you want, and then God will act on your behalf. God loved the people of Israel more than they even loved God, and God was willing to do anything for them. But until they prayed, God did not act on their behalf. And so, beloved, whatever it is that you need God to do for you, because God has already given you that authority, that whatever you bind on this earth shall be bound in heaven, it is like you giving permission to God to act on your behalf. That is what prayer is. And so until you pray, God cannot act on your behalf. This is why it's so important for you to pray, because your prayer is the key that opens up your blessings. Prayer is your key that opens up your blessings that are stored in the heavenly realms. God says to us in Ephesians chapter 1 verse 3 that he has blessed us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places. Beloved, every blessing that you will need in order for your life to be complete on this earth is stored in heaven. God has already blessed you, but the blessing is kept in heaven. That is why God says that everything you bind on this earth shall be bound in heaven, and everything you loose on this earth shall be loosed in heaven. Your blessings are in heaven, and so if you want to lose them, for them to be manifest to you on this earth, then you need to pray. When you pray, then God will act on your behalf and release your blessings to you. So, beloved, like the Israelites, if you have lost your home, if you have lost any important thing in your life, then humble yourself and pray and ask God to forgive you of every sin you have committed. Ask God to have compassion on you and touch the hearts of people who needs to favor you for you to get all the things that you have lost. If people took away your things, just like the people took away the land from the people of Israel, beloved, pray to God that he should touch the hearts of people who have taken your belongings, people who have taken all your properties. God should touch their hearts so that they can release your properties to you. And pray also that God should have mercy on you and release every blessing that he has for you. So for everything you have lost in this life, you can have it back when you pray, because your prayer is what gives God permission to act on your behalf.